You know how some stories start around a campfire? This one ends there. My name is Alex, and for a decade, I've carried a guilt so heavy it feels like a physical weight. It's about my best friend, Mark. It was the fall of 2013. We were young, dumb, and loved exploring the old logging trails deep in the Black Pine Forest. That weekend, we planned an overnight trip. Just two guys, a tent, and a camera. Mark had just bought a little digital thing he was obsessed with. The first day was perfect. Crisp air, the smell of pine. We set up camp by a creek, joked around. Mark filmed everything: stupid skits, close-ups of mushrooms, the usual. As night fell, we got the fire going. That's when Mark got this idea. Bet you $20 I can find the old Ranger's watchtower before midnight, he said, pointing his camera at me. They say it's haunted. Perfect footage. I laughed it off. The tower was a 5-mile hike through thick brush, easy to get lost. Don't be an idiot, Mark. It's getting dark. Chicken, he grinned, the red recording light of his camera glowing in the dusk. I'll be back in 2 hours. Keep the fire warm. And just like that, he shouldered his small pack, gave a mock salute, and disappeared into the trees. The last thing I saw was that tiny red light, bobbing away until the forest swallowed it. 2 hours passed. Then 3. The fire died to embers. I called his phone, no service, just like we expected. By dawn, panic was a cold stone in my gut. I hiked back to the trailhead, drove to the ranger station. They launched a massive search. Dogs, helicopters, volunteers. For 2 weeks, they combed every inch of those woods. They found nothing. No pack, no scraps of clothing. And no camera. Mark vanished. Just gone. The official report said lost in the wilderness, presumed dead. But I knew Mark. He was an experienced hiker. Something wasn't right. Life moved on, as it does. But I couldn't. Every year on the anniversary, I'd go back to our campsite. A kind of penance. This year, 10 years later, I was there again. The creek had shifted its course slightly after a stormy spring. And that's when I saw it. A glint of plastic under a newly exposed root. It was Mark's camera. Caked in mud, the battery compartment rusted shut. My hands shook as I pried it open. Somehow, the memory card looked intact. I drove home like a man possessed. That old, rusted card felt heavier than lead in my pocket. I kept touching it, as if it were radioactive. At home, my hands were so unsteady I could barely plug the reader into the USB port. The clicking sound it made when the folder loaded was the loudest sound I'd ever heard in the silence of my apartment. I bought an old card reader, plugged it in. The folder popped up. Dozens of short clips from that day. Us laughing, the camp setup. Then, a file named nighthike.mov. Timestamp. 9:47 p.m. My heart hammered against my ribs. I clicked play. The footage was shaky, lit by the camera's weak night vision. Mark's breathing was heavy. Branches slapped the lens. He was joking to himself, saying, "Alex is gonna owe me $20. He finally reached the clearing with the watchtower. It looked sinister, skeletal against the moonless sky. He started climbing the creaking stairs. Halfway up, he stopped. The camera swung down to the ground below. Something was moving between the trees. Not an animal. It was upright, but its movement was wrong. Jerky. And it was pale, almost gray in the green hue of the night vision. Mark's breathing stopped. The thing down there stopped too. Then, slowly, it tilted its head back, looking straight up at him. The camera zoomed in automatically, a grainy, digital shutter. The face had no features. Just smooth, blank skin where eyes and a mouth should be. Mark gasped, fumbled, and almost dropped the camera. He turned and started scrambling back down the stairs, the footage a chaotic mess of shaking wood and sky. He hit the ground running. The audio was just his ragged breaths and pounding feet. For 3 minutes straight, he ran blindly through the dark. Then he tripped. The camera flew from his hand. It landed lens up, wedged against a log, still recording. In the frame, Mark stumbled into view, scrambling to his knees. And then, from the edge of the frame, a long, gray arm reached in. Fingers, too thin and too many, closed around Mark's ankle. He let out a choked scream. He was dragged kicking back into the darkness, away from the camera. The sound of thrashing foliage grew faint. Then silence. For 27 more minutes, the camera recorded the empty, silent forest. Until the battery died. I sat in my dark office, numb. The guilt was gone, replaced by a sheer, primal terror. They searched for a man lost in the woods. But he wasn't lost. He was taken. And here's the part that haunts me now. The last clip on the card. A file I didn't notice at first. One single, still image. It wasn't taken by Mark during the day. The metadata said it was created after the night vision footage. At 4:02 a.m. It was a picture of our campsite. Of me, asleep in the tent, a vague shape through the nylon. It was taken from just outside the fire ring. The figure wasn't in the frame. But you can see its shadow, long and distorted, stretching towards the tent flap. It was there. It watched me sleep. It had Mark's camera. And after it took him, it came back. For me. I never went to the police. What would I say? They'd think I lost my mind. Or worse, that I had something to do with his disappearance. So I'm telling you. If you go into the deep woods, and you feel like you're being watched, you probably are. And sometimes, getting lost isn't the worst thing that can happen. Sometimes, you're found by something that shouldn't exist. Mark's camera is in a safety deposit box now. I can't bring myself to destroy it. It's the only proof that my best friend didn't just wander off. It's proof that the forest remembers. And sometimes, it keeps souvenirs.